ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith? Then grab your Bible and let's get started.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're working towards becoming in a harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I appreciate every last one of you who are able to join me on this live premiere, and also for those who watch me on the replay. I most definitely appreciate every last one of you on today. So we always begin with a recap of what we did last week. So last week we went through Matthew chapter 13. Chapter 13 verses 41 through 43. Specifically, I wanted to remind everyone about this area because we was trying to understand who are the ones that the angels will be thrown into the furnace at the end of age. There's two groups of people that will be ending up in the furnace. This is not what Jehovah wants, but this is where the end of age is heading us towards. And those are the ones who causes stumbling blocks and those who practice lawlessness. So those are two groups of people that he addressed, Yeshua himself. If you have not, I am encouraging you at the end of this live premiere that you will make time to watch and catch up with us. It's important to understand what he is teaching. I appreciate you joining me on this journey as we explore the gospel writings to follow the footsteps, his ministry to understand what Yeshua, the master teacher, has taught. Let your friends and your family know that we're on a journey. We are on a journey to examine what the master teacher said and what he did. It's important. Remember, at the end of this teaching on today, you have an opportunity to ask questions. So it's important to understand that you have that opportunity. Just a little housekeeping part of YouTube. So below, you should be seeing a scroll that says Shabbat Shalom. So I will be using these scrollings at the end to kind of prompt everyone who is watching to remind you of the YouTube things that we have to do, like the subscribe button, comment, share, all those type of things. So this is something that I decided it would be good as a reminder, because sometimes we get caught up in the teachings that we don't remember what to do. So this is the reason why that is there. Now that we're done with the housekeeping, we're going to move straight on into the teaching. We're still in the book of Matthew. We're on Matthew chapter 8. We're going to read about the men that were possessed by demons. We're going to read it from Matthew, Mark, and Luke writings, their perspectives. Now, this is going to be Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 through 34, Mark chapter 5, verses 1 through 20, Luke chapter 8, verses 26 through 39. We're going to go through this writing because each of the writers, they provide a different perspective that we need to take a look at each one of them to get the whole truth. This is what I love about when the Gospels each tell their own perspective, but you put it together and you get the full understanding. So ensure that you have your Bible in front of you and all your writing utensils that you need. Because this is one thing I do recommend as we reading from these different perspectives. Have a highlighter with you. Have a highlighter so that you can be able to highlight each different perspective of each of the writers. I think that would take you a longer way to be able to do that comparison. So this is what we are going to focus on today. So I'm going to give you a little background before we get straight into Matthew chapter 8, verses 28. So we are Yeshua, Jesus for some, Yeshua is coming from the Sea of Galilee. Remember, that's where he lives. That's his hometown. That's where he grew up. That's not where he was born, but that's where he grew up and that's where he lived. So he's coming across the Sea of Galilee and he's going to the city of Decapolis, well, the region of Decapolis, and he's going to specifically to the city of Gerasenes. You will see that in Mark and Luke, and then in Matthew, it is Gadarenes. So they are the same city, but they are just spelt different, and it's the same city in Decapolis. So that's the background. So that's where we left off last week. He was crossing through the Sea of Galilee to Decapolis. Matthew chapter 8, and we are going into verse 28. And when he came to the other side into the country of the Gerasenes, two demon possessed men confronted him as they were coming out of the tombs. They were so extremely violent that no one could pass by that way. And they cried out, saying, "What business do you have with us, son of Elohim? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now there was a herd of many pigs feeding at a distance from them. And the demons begged him, saying, "If you are going to cast us out, send us into the herd of the pigs." And he said to them, "Go." And they came out and went into the pigs, and behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the waters. And the herdmen ran away and went into the city and reported everything, including what happened to the demon possessed men. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Yeshua. And when they saw him, they pleaded him to leave their region. So far, in Mark chapter 8, verses 28 through 34, we have two men that met Yeshua when he arrived to the land. Now, we're in Mark chapter 5, verses 1 through 20. Pay attention. They came to the other side of the sea, into the region of the Gerasenes. When he got out of the boat, he is Yeshua, immediately a man from the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one was able to bind him anymore, not even with a chain, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been torn apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, and no one was strong enough to subdue him. Constantly, day and night, he was screaming among the tombs in the mountains and cutting himself with stones. Seeing Yeshua from a distance, he ran up and bowed down before him and shouted with a loud voice. And he said, "What business do you have with me, Yeshua, Son of the Most High Elohim? I implore you by Elohim, do not torment me." For he already been saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And he was asking him, "What is your name?" And he said to him, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the region. Now there was a large herd of pigs feeding nearby on the mountain, and the demons begged him, saying, "Send us into the pigs so that we may enter them." Yeshua gave them permission, and coming out, the unclean spirits entered the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea, about 2,000 of them, and they were drowned in the sea. So here in Mark chapter 5, verse 1 through 20, we have the stories talking about one man, but we know according to Mark, there are actually two men. Just keep that in mind. 2,000 pigs. Just start highlighting these things that is different from the story. Okay. And we will go through these at the end. We're going on. Verse 14 of Mark. The herdsmen ran away and departed in the city, in the countryside, and the people came to see what it was that had happened. And then they came to Yeshua and saw the man who had been demon possessed sitting down, clothed in his right mind, the very man who had previously the legion, and they became frightened. Those who had seen it described to them how it had happened to the demon possessed man and all about the pigs, and they began to beg him to leave the region. Here the people are asking him to leave the region again. And as he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon possessed, he was begging him that he might accompany Yeshua. He wanted to go with Yeshua, and he did not let him go. He said to him, "Go home to your people and report to them what great things the Lord Jehovah has done for you, and how he, who is he, Jehovah, have mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim, began to preach in Decapolis what great things Yeshua had done for him. And everyone is amazed how Yeshua had brought the kingdom to him, how he has brought the Father's kingdom to him. Just keep this in mind, highlighting everything that's different. Now we are in the book of Luke. Remember, this is Luke chapter 8, verse 26 through 39. And this is the same information from each of the writers, different perspectives that we're putting together and being able to get the whole truth, all the information all together. So that's important to understand. This is what we are doing. Luke 8:26. Then they sailed to the country of the Gerasenes, which is opposite of Galilee. Remember, the Sea of Galilee is they right across from each other. He got on the boat, Yeshua, and his disciples came along. And when he stepped out into the land, a man from the city met him who was possessed with demons. Same group of men, and Luke is highlighting one man. And he had not put on clothing for a long time. He was not living in a house, but he lived among the tombs. And seeing Yeshua, he cried out and fell down before him, said with a loud voice, "What business do you have with me, Yeshua, Son of the Most High Elohim? I beg you, do not torment me." For he had already commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for it has seized him many times, and he was bound with chains and shackles and kept under guard. And yet he will break the restraints and be driven by the demon into the desert. And Yeshua asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons has entered these two men. And they were begging him not to command them to go away into the abyss. So we're going to cover that abyss and what that really means. Verse 32. And now there was a herd of many pigs feeding there on the mountain. And the demons begged him to permit them to enter into the pigs. Remember, the pigs are unclean animals. And he gave them permission. And the demons came out of the man and entered into the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. Verse 34. Now, when the herdsmen saw what had happened, they ran away and reported everything in the city and in the country. And the people came out to see what had happened. And they came to Yeshua and found the man from whom the demons had gone out, sitting down at the feet of Yeshua, clothed in his right mind. And they became frightened. Those who had seen everything reported to them how the man had been demon possessed and had been made well. And all the people of the territory of the Gerasenes and the surrounding region, this is everyone, who came and asked him to leave. Asked him to leave them because they were overwhelmed by great fear, and he got into the boat and returned. But the man from whom the demons had gone out was begging him that he might accompany him. But Yeshua sent him away, saying, return to your home and describe great things Elohim has done for you. So he went away proclaiming. Remember, proclaiming is preaching throughout the city what great things Yeshua had done for him. So what I'm hoping is that by reading the same topic, the same subject in 3 different perspectives of writers, that we will see all the information together. Because Mark speaks of 2 men, while Matthew speaks of 2 men, while Mark and Luke speaks of 1 man. So we have 2 men that met Yeshua when he came across the sea at the land, the Gerasenes, in the Gerasenes, one city in Decapolis. They met him. These are who knew that Yeshua was the son of Elohim. The demons, the legions, the demons, look, they know who he is. They know he is the son of Elohim. So people get this mixed up that the demons don't know, or that you can be a believer. You have to be a believer to know that he's a son of Elohim. No, the demons know who he is. They just don't want to obey, which is what we find today in people. They just don't want to obey. These 2 men were shackled. Remember, we have the shackled information in Mark. We got this shackled information in Luke. These 2 men were shackled by chains, which could not hold them. It was able to bound them. And at times, they will end up in the wilderness. They will be constantly screaming and yelling with no clothes on. No clothes on. So this is what Mark gave us information of, that they were not wearing any clothes, and he was cutting himself with the stone. So he was engaging in cutting, naked, screaming and yelling, shackled, and could not be held because the demons were so strong. And so this is what Yeshua walked in on when he came to the land. This is what he walked into. So I just want to read this. Keep this in mind. Yeshua came commanding the demons to leave. The demons began to talk to him. And this is what the demons said. I charge you, I implore you, I hokidzo you, in Greek, you by Jehovah to not torment me. So Yeshua is casting the demon, commanding the demon to leave. So I want you to pay attention what the demon is saying to Yeshua as he is commanding the demon is saying, I chose you not to torment me by Elohim, by Jehovah. I told you not to torment me. He didn't want to leave. And so Yeshua had to ask him, what's your name? Because you're not listening. You're not hearing, I want you out of these two men. So he asked him what his name. And so the demons start having the men having seizures. He was given a big old performance because he didn't want to leave. Pay attention to that. The demons were acting out. They wasn't trying to listen. They didn't want to go. They most definitely didn't want to leave the region where the people were at. After they acknowledged him, Yeshua asked who the demons were, and they answered as legion and he asked them to leave this person again. I want to make another point before we leave this information. The demons not only know who the Messiah is, the Son of Elohim, of the Most High, but they know that he is the one that will be judging at the end of times. And they were aware that it is not the time. The demons knew that this was not the end of age. Pay attention to what they're saying. Because they said this: have you come here to torment us before the time? Before the time. They said this in Mark. Before the time. They bade that this does not, that he don't command them to go into the bottomless pit. So that's that abyss that people seem to think is water because of in the Tanakh. But here in the Greek, that abyss is that bottomless pit. The demons saw the herd of the pigs. And as we read, that there was actually 2,000 of the pigs. This is what's going on, people. 2,000 pigs. And Yeshua gave them permission to go to the unclean animals. Again, 2,000 pigs who was not able to attain the legion of demons that was in these two men. Because the pigs drowned themselves. They went straight into the water. The witnesses, the herdsmen, the keeper of the pigs, went into the city and told the people about what was going on. The people came back and saw the men that were possessed, found the men where they had the demons in them. They found the men clothed in their right mind, sitting at the feet of Yeshua. They became frightened. Instead of seeing that the kingdom had come to them, thankful that this two men, we don't know how long this been going on, that these two men was possessed with legions. Instead of seeing that these two men are clothed in their right mind and set free, instead of paying attention to that, and that these men now could be thriving citizens, they asked Yeshua to leave. Now, they wasn't worried about the two men that had been set free. They were worried about the money that they have lost, because there's 2,000 pigs. Imagine what they would, the money, How we going to pay the herdsmen? How we going to make our living for our family, for the city, for, all those taxes eventually they will have to pay. So the people most definitely was frightened about what else is this man going to do? What other problems is this man going to do? So they asked him to leave. Yeshua didn't say anything. He left. He didn't argue with them. He left. This is a great example for us for when people do not receive you. People are not going to always receive you. And that's okay. Take a lesson from what Yeshua have said, what's going on. Take a lesson and pay attention that this is a great example of dusting off your feet and moving on. Because what did Yeshua do? He got on that boat and told the man to stay, and he left. He didn't argue with the people at all. The man that he had set free asked if he can follow him. Can I go with you? But he said to him, instead, preach to the people what Elohim, Jehovah, has done for you. Yeshua words. Go home to your people and report to them what great things the Lord, Jehovah, has done for you, and how he, remember he said he didn't say himself, Jehovah, have mercy on you. Remember, Yeshua did not come in his own name. Don't forget this. He didn't come in his own name. He explained this to the religious leaders. He explained this. I want us to pay attention to what he explained. And we are going to look at John chapter 5:43. Now, this is Yeshua talking to the religious leaders. He is talking to the religious leaders. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, you will receive him. Yeshua at no point at all came to declare his kingdom, to declare his name. He actually came to declare the Father's name and bringing the kingdom to the people. Made me think of John chapter 5, verse 19. So I grabbed my Bible because I don't have this verse, and we're going to read this. These are words that's coming out of Yeshua's mouth. John chapter 5, verse 19. And Yeshua therefore answered and was saying to them, truly, truly, I say to you, the Son, which is him himself, can do nothing of himself unless it is something he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, these things the Son also does in like manner. So Yeshua came. He came not for his own sake. He was sent by the Father. Remember that. He was sent by the Father to tell the things of the Father, to declare the kingdom of the Father, which the Son will be king of. He is the king, and he will be the king of Israel when that time comes. The people miss the king. They miss the kingdom of Elohim. But there's no worries. We don't have to worry about that because Yeshua sent a testimony. He sent a believer to declare the things of the kingdom. He sent the two men that were possessed of the demon. He sent them out to proclaim the work of the kingdom. He never did give himself credit. Yeshua always gave the Father credit. he was sent to preach the gospel to the kingdom, to the ones that are captive, to set them free, and much, much more. That is the work of the kingdom that we see wonderfully displayed by Yeshua in this information on today. I'm done. I am done for today. If you have questions, you have an opportunity right now to ask me some questions, and you have an opportunity on the replay to ask questions. And I recommend that you highlight the differences when it comes to the Gospels, when it has different perspectives. And we will find this more and more in the future. So I'm hoping that you will be able to take this opportunity, um, and hopefully that you have learned some things on today, and that you would continue to watch live, also on the replay. So don't forget, I am on live Tuesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. as we go on through the Torah, the Pentateuch. I believe we're in Genesis chapter 14 or 15 by now. I think episode number 22, and we at least at the story with Abram and Sarah at this moment. And this is at the story when they went to there was a famine and they went to Egypt. So we're at least at that part. And I want to make sure that each and every last one of you have an opportunity to follow me on Facebook, to follow me on Pinterest and on Instagram, and that you will get information, because eventually you'll see a difference in each one of these social medias. So I don't see any questions up above. And may Jehovah bless you and keep you. May Jehovah shine his face on you and give you his favor. May he shine his face on you and give you his peace. In the mighty name of Jesus, may Jehovah bless you. Thank you. And have a good week.